is correct. That 205 does deal with the proper part of state statute.
Oh, I'm going to vote for your amendment, but this is why the rules say and the contract says that we run things through the county administrator so that we don't have to deal with mistakes like this. They can already be handled in advance. But having said that, it's just an acknowledgement that there is a reason why the rules are the way that they are, and so I will support your amendment.
Thank you very much. No further discussion being noted. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Nolte?
Yes.
Commissioner Ridgeway?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Thank you. The other motion I would like to make is, once again, we seem to have a month where we're going to be meeting twice. The motion that I'm going to want to make is to change the title from work business session to work session, and then to schedule a business session on Monday, February 13, 2017, at 10 a.m. in this room. I don't know why we're doing a combined session. It seems as though we in the past, one of the reasons, and I think it's a reasonable one, is that we've had a holiday or something like Christmas, and it makes sense. But it seems to me that the people who pay our salaries have to work a good deal more than 2 days a month. We should also be doing that same thing. Between December 19 and January 23, again during Christmas, but we had one meeting between those two meetings. We're here to safeguard people's money, and it seems as though we are doing a lot of, we're letting a lot of our work go to bureaucracy, and I think that is wrong. So is there a reason? I'll go ahead and make the motion that we do that, and I would ask, what was the reasoning behind, Mr. Administrator, do you have, since you prepared the agenda?
I have one question first.
Certainly, go right ahead.
We've known about this for a long time. You've had a lot of time to talk to the county administrator about this. Why are you doing this in public when you could have talked to him far in advance of today?
Because I wanted to bring it up so that all the commissioners can weigh in. I didn't know if the administrator was working on instructions or what. And this,
when you bring so many things up in public just for public bloodletting, and it's a shame upon the county, and there's no reason why that you can't ask the county administrator, just the same as all of us could and did, why we were having this. And I am just horrified that you continually try to bring things up in public that embarrass Clay County when there's no need for this. We have a professionally run government, and you should take advantage of the county administrator, of the talents that are available with him and the assistant county administrators, rather than constantly trying to bring everything up in public to grandstand. And I think it's a shame upon the county, it's a shame upon you, and you should have already had this answered in advance. There's no reason why you can't do this. Every other commissioner can do this.
Thank you for your comments. Mr. Administrator, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Did you have, would you like to weigh in on that?
Yes, Commissioner, you
Thank
did
you.
see the email last week. I did not hear anything back from you on that. Actually, the proposed date that you suggest, Monday the 13th, is a county holiday.
Ah, I apologize then, so perhaps another day would be better.
That was designated in the email that I sent to you.
So a lot of times when we do have those holidays, we just flip it to the next Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever.
Not always. Frequently, there's a combined work business session to accommodate the holiday. The 13th and 20th are both holidays.
Well, I would certainly amend my motion then to indicate Tuesday the 14th, because that would be easier. So we're meeting basically today and then on February 27th.
That is the proposal.
Okay. Like I said, I think that this is something that I objected when we went to this, as what we had this ability to do prior to the ordinance change that we had. It just required unanimous a vote, which on something like Christmas I don't think is a big a deal. However, it feels as though we've done this a couple of months in a row, and I think at that point we're getting a little bit too long between meetings. I think we need to be able to conduct, and perhaps we'd have a shorter agenda. Mr. Owen, do you have any?
No reason why He did that because he's gonna be on vacation. If you'd read the email that was sent out, you'd know that.
On vacation, well, and I certainly would, you know, you deserve a vacation as much as any of this. Is it possible to run the meeting with another person sitting in your?
I'm not discussing my schedule in here.
I apologize that it came up. In any case, if you know, one of us is missing, I think we still need to be able to go forward and conduct the business of the county. So I think that's something that we need to be able to do. I think that there is no one person absent that we should not be able to continue on with the regular scheduled meetings that we have. None of us is irreplaceable, including myself. That being said, I would alter that to say Tuesday the 14th as opposed to February 13th. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Please proceed.
Commissioner, you've made comments several times that because we're only in a work session or business session, that means that that's the only day that you consider that we are working. Are you insinuating, are you stating that you only work whenever we're actually here in this commission meeting?
That is a very good point. You're right, we do work outside of this room, but meeting twice seems, just, you know, showing up here twice does not seem appropriate. And it was not a problem before when we were doing it 4 times. And I can understand doing it sometimes, but we end up, the other problem is we end up putting everything that's on our regular agenda virtually on immediate action, which means there's no time to really contemplate, there's no time to do research. We shorten our time for, I think, no particularly good reason. Like I say, if someone has to be away, that is understandable, that comes up, but the business of our government should not come to a halt just because someone is unable to attend a meeting.
Sure, the business does not come to a halt, and I'm not going to belabor this much more, but to continually have you insinuate and state before the press and the public that the only time that we're working is when we're here in the hours in a published public meeting is such a gross understatement and a disservice to the amount of work that I personally do. And I can't speak for any other commissioner, but this is a very small amount of the work that I do to represent the citizens of the Eastern District. And I would venture to guess that probably the same is for both of you. And I think it is wrong, and I would ask you to not continually repeat this, that this is as if this is the only time that we're working. This is a very small portion of the work that I will be doing this entire week and the following week and the week after and the week after to represent the people of Clay County and the taxpayers of Clay County on many different boards and commissions, chamber meetings, Mid-America Regional Council, citizens meetings. There's all kinds of work that we do. This is only administrative work that needs to be done because there are resolutions that need to be passed pursuant to law. So it is a gross misstatement of the work that any elected representative does to say that the only time that we're working is when we're in formal session. And I would say it's even a slam against our state legislative delegation because it's to imply that the only time that they do any work is when they're on the floor of the Missouri House of Representatives or the Missouri Senate. You know that's not true. So I would ask that you confine your comments to the reasons for having business and work session, but never to imply that this is the only time that we're doing the work of the people of Clay County, because that is grossly unfair and grossly inaccurate.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Nolte?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
No.
Commissioner Ridgeway?
No.
Okay. That is all that I had for changes on the agenda. Are there any other additions, deletions, or any other changes to our agenda?
Yes, I have a motion
Please
that
proceed.
we add executive session legal and contractual, and I will have to ask legal counsel 610.
Legal is 1, and contractual is 12.
And then 610.
0.021.
610-021, brand 1 legal, 610-021, 12 contractual to executive session, and as a second part of that is to move our executive session up immediately after approval of the agenda.
We did this, I believe, last meeting. I tell you what I would like to do, because after we had done that, what's the best way to put this? I probably would have operated a little bit differently had I known. Right now, I do not know the reason for the executive session. Is council aware of what the reason for the executive session is?
Some.
Okay.
There are some items I don't.
I think in this particular instance, what I would like to do would be to stand at ease for 5 minutes. I would like to know why we were going into executive session. It's hard to make an intelligent vote without some frame of reference other than just that. And I will try to stick.
I don't think we can do that, because it's off public record, and this is a notice public meeting. And unless you're gonna talk to staff.
That was kind of, yeah, unless you wanted to tell me, yeah, I wanted to find out. That's why I asked council if he knew, because I was going to ask council what the subject was of this executive session. And I can't really do that in an open meeting. That sort of defeats the purpose of executive session.
So what can you actually know?
Given my estimation on time when we stand at ease, probably 2, but let's say 5.
Okay, I have one other question before we do that. Could I have a show of hands on the number of people?
No, you may not. I'm sorry. I will get to that when we get to the regular meeting agenda, but
Sorry, I was just gonna ask the public who was here to speak on 3 items, but
that is
if you
exactly
wanna make
what,
them wait, then, okay.
that's exactly what I was going to do at the appropriate moment. I appreciate you trying to help me out there with the duties, but I think we'll go ahead and do it that way. With that, we will stand at ease until about 21 minutes after the hour. Okay, we are back from our little break there, and I was able to confer with council on the subjects of executive session. I would, Commissioner Ridgeway's motion, I would propose that we amend that to keep executive session as it was scheduled. We've got a lot of people here clearly to speak on a number of issues. Commissioner Ridgeway, in fact, was in the process of sort of asking the crowd. Unfortunately, that was out of order because we had not reached that part of the agenda yet. So, I would move to amend Commissioner Ridgeway's motion to allow for an executive session under those 2 items, which were legal and contractual. However, it would remain where it is in the agenda in deference to the number of people we have here to speak.
I have a question with regard to your amendment.
Yes.
Are you just asking us to vote on an amendment as to where the executive session will be on our agenda?
Correct me, Mr. Counselor, if I'm kind of getting out of line here in the parliamentary procedure, but my amendment, or my motion to amend her motion, essentially said that we would delete the moving of the executive session up in the agenda and keep it at its scheduled place.
The way I hear both motions is they both agree on doing 2 executive sessions, one under legal, one under contract. There's no dispute as to that.
Correct.
It is the remaining issue is, does it go within, I guess, section 16, which is the end of our agenda, or do we move it up to the beginning, which would be, I think it was after the meeting schedule. That is Commissioner Ridgeway's motion. Your amendment is to keep it as is.
Correct. Do we need to vote on my amendment?
Yes.
Okay, so we do that. Then after that vote is taken, then we move on to the underlying motion. Under Commissioner Ridgeway's motion, is that correct?
Yes. I think the first motion takes care of it, but yes.
So all we're voting on right now is the amendment, Commissioner Nolte's amendment, as to where the executive session is
Yes.
on the agenda.
Yes.
Just wanted clarification what we're actually voting on.
Okay, good. So that will be the first vote, and then the second vote we will take will be either on Commissioner Ridgeway's motion as made or her motion as amended, depending on the outcome of the previous vote. Does that sound like everybody's on the same page? Okay. Like I say, there appear to be a goodly number of people here who have a number of items. We seem to sometimes get a little long on our executive sessions. Also, I don't know that I see the purpose in moving that forward. That is the purpose, that was the reasoning behind my amendment to Commissioner Ridgeway's motion. Is there any other discussion?
The reason why I thought it was to be moved up is because there was some issues on here that's going to be voted on. It may have to deal with that legal matter.
I'm sorry, I'm going through some of the things I want to make sure I don't stray into any areas that we may have spoken about in the executive, so I'm trying to choose my words a little carefully. I understand your point, and I respectfully disagree with that point. Commissioner Ridgeway?
I've made my comments.
Okay. Go ahead and we will call the roll, and this vote is, of course, on the amendment.
Commissioner Nolte?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
No.
Commissioner Ridgeway?
No.
Very well, the amendment fails. Now we will take a vote. We'll open discussion, any additional discussion, I should say, on the the motion, which is to add legal and contractual to executive session and to move executive session up to immediately following approval of the agenda. Is that correctly stated? All right, is there any further discussion on that? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Ridgeway?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Nolte?
No. I do have one other, and I'm sorry I had neglected to do this, but I did have one other change on our agenda. I had requested, and it was put on there, number 2017 ordinance 09. It had to do with warrants and those sorts of matters. I believe we may well have come to a solution on that. What I would like to do would be to move that be taken off the agenda for today. And that was, I'm sorry, it's 2017 ordinance 9. It is, did you find that one okay? I'm sorry, it is, if you're looking on the second page, it is kind of midway down. Oh, it's right there.
It's the only ordinance on your agenda.
That's the ordinance.
I'm sorry, yeah, ordinance 9. Commissioner Ridgeway, did you locate there?
Yes.
Okay. As I said, I think that we have might maybe found a solution to working through that, which I appreciate, and that will, I think, help make our meeting a little more smooth. Is there any discussion on that deletion? Commissioner Ridgeway? Commissioner Owen? Very well. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Nolte?
Yes.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ridgeway?
Yes. I want that unanimous vote.
Take one.
I have,
Yeah, but the thing is, if you have any other, we need to conclude our approval of the agenda before we go into the executive session. That is,
right. On 2017-57, cease actions of Smithville Lake, Commissioner Nolte, 2017-58, amended Commission Order of Business, 2017.
I'm sorry, could you slow down just a little so I can track?
Yeah, someone right after the ordinance. 57, 58, 38.
57, 58, 38.
Right. I'm going to make a motion that we table those, but I'm also going to make a statement to any members of the public who are here to speak concerning that, is basically immediately following our agenda, which these were pretty far down the agenda anyway. There will be a time for public comment where any member of the public who is here to speak on any one of those three is free to speak at that time concerning those issues. So I will make a motion that we table 2017-57, 2017-58, 2017-38.
Motion has been made. Discussion. One of those that it's interesting that those here for the discussion on the lake we're here to discuss that, and as you say, they could go to the end of the agenda, number 15. under public comments. I'm sorry, is 15 correct?
It would be,
Yes.
it would be 15, but there is no consent agenda. The reports and written communications take very little time. We don't have any approval of minutes to do, so that means we would proceed immediately to public
I'm
comments.
sorry, if you want recognition, certainly please feel free, but I was kind of in the middle of my sentence there. So they would be waiting until number 15 on our agenda. One of the 2017-58, in fact, would have resolved that in that it would have moved the comments from the audience on non-agenda items up to, I believe, number 8, right after courtesy resolutions before discussion items. So, once again, I think that we are running into a problem here as far as a lot of people taking off work, a lot of people have been here to discuss this, and by putting them way to the end of the agenda, I think is a bad idea. I think it's bad public policy. And since that's going to be the way we are going to head, what I'm going to be doing is under meeting schedule, I'm going to be under the authority of section 49180, I'm going to order a special term for Wednesday, February 15, 2017, to discuss the Lakes item. That will be at 7 p.m. in this meeting room. Obviously, I cannot make that motion now because it is not in order, because we haven't got that on the agenda, but that is where we're going to go with that. So there will be a chance to discuss this issue, even if it's getting pushed off today. So I would speak against it because, like I say, it's once again, apart from the non-controversial appointments, this again suppresses the idea that we will be able to have any meaningful discussions on these 3 issues. So I obviously would be voting no. There's no point in belaboring it. But that is, I think, not good government. I think we are going in the wrong direction. Further discussion, Commissioner Ridgeway, please.
Yes. We have people who are here on the published agenda. They've gone through all the public process that is necessary to be heard in a timely manner. This is why our agenda was changed, so that people who had gone through all the process and done everything that they were supposed to do to get on our formal agenda would be heard, was all reasonable to speed, rather than what had happened, which was public comment on non-agenda items, nowhere published, nowhere prepared for people to perhaps speak in opposition to those who were here. But they were given sometimes 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, where everyone just languished that had gone through all the process, everything necessary in order to be timely and reasonably heard. The public who is here has an opportunity to be heard immediately following the posted agenda, where people have done everything that they should do in order to be reasonably and timely heard. Then we have public comments for people who, by the way, our rules say that preference will be given to those who have notified the clerk of their intention to speak. Most of the time, that rule is never followed, and we very appropriately listen to people. The question is a matter of timing and who is given preference. The people who have followed the rules and are here with a proposed agenda item should be, in the ordinary course of business, they should be heard first. Then we have basically an open mic to listen to whomever. Now, Commissioner Nolte, with regard to the items that I'm making a motion to table, and I'm going to tread very carefully, and I'm asking our county counselor to pay close attention to what I'm saying to make sure that I don't cross any inappropriate lines that we've discussed. But for 2 weeks in a row in executive session, all 3 commissioners have been admonished that there is the potential for litigation that has been publicly announced, and in fact, an attorney to represent certain individuals at the lake has notified our county counselor of his intent to represent them. That means there is litigation either pending or imminent. We were also cautioned that we should be very good listeners of those who are here to speak concerning the lake events. But we should not engage in back and forth debate, and we should not try to draw our staff into such debate. For 2 weeks in a row, you have ignored advice of counsel, which I believe is to the peril of the taxpayers and the public position of Clay County, Missouri. Because you cannot or will not abide by the rules that were appropriately laid down by our county councilor, it is only appropriate that these items be removed, and we once again will try, through public comment, to be very good listeners of the people who have issues that they want to speak about, what will be non-agenda items. But once again, it's only because you have failed repeatedly to follow the advice of counsel to the peril of the county and the taxpayers of the county, that the only means available to us is a motion to table this. And so I renew my motion to table 2017-57, 2017-58, 2017-38 with the notice that anyone who is here to speak on those issues will be given an opportunity to do so during public comment.
I appreciate your comments. Firstly, you are suffering under misapprehension, excuse me. I have in fact consulted with, I'm sorry, did you have a sidebar?
I just said I'm not suffering, I feel fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I did consult with council. I do realize what our limitations are. It is not a total gag order. There are obvious precautions that need to be taken. You had mentioned that people are here for scheduled items to speak. This was a scheduled item. The folks here did in fact follow the rules and did come here and not always at their leisure. The last time this came up, we had people here. It was again removed from the agenda. A number of people left. Some of them had work obligations. The only person who was able to stay was a lady with 3 children under 4. And she did hang in there until basically she was kind of at the end of the line, the back of the bus on this thing. On a personal note, I've had to wrestle 3 kids around by myself on a very extended period of time. It is not easy. That person showed a great deal of perseverance, and I think we are putting up a reasonable amount of hurdles for people to come and address their government on issues that they have concerns about. I think that we need to be totally cautious as far as how we proceed in the light of possible litigation. However, that does not relieve us of the obligation to make sure that our citizens are able to exercise their First Amendment rights to redress their government with grievances. That was one of the 3. I think the other 2, I don't believe fall into that category, but be that as it may, is there further discussion? Commissioner, did you have any thoughts? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ridgeway.
Yes.
Commissioner Owen.
Yes.
Commissioner Nolte.
No. Are there any other items of the approval of agenda? Any additions, deletions, or any other changes in the in that? None. Seeing none. All right. Then in that case, we will vote on the agenda as amended. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Motion has been made. Discussion? Seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Owen.
Yes.
Commissioner Ridgeway.
Yes.
Commissioner Nolte.
No.
I thought it was after approval.
Oh, no, that's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. After improvement. I apologize. What we will do is we will go into executive session. Do you think 20 minutes is going to cover this thing? What would you, Commissioner, what would you think would be an appropriate period of time? 30? Okay, we will go for 30 minutes. It is about 21 minutes before the hour right now. We will try to get out and get back in by 10 minutes after the hour. Excuse me. At which point we will pick up on meeting schedule, and as I mentioned, I will be making some changes on the meeting schedule when we return. With that, we are in executive session.